Greetings, everyone. Hope all of you are having an absolutely fantastic day. We're back again with more Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous. And this time, I wanted to continue with our Undead party member builds. It's been quite a few of you reaching out saying, when are you going to finish the builds? When are you going to finish the builds? I'm sorry, I didn't realize they would be in demand like that. Here you go. Let's go ahead and make some more progress on the list. And I figure we might as well go to the third one, Ciar, the Cavalier of the group. Let's go ahead and dig into his build. I actually think they did a pretty good job with it. He's a lot of fun to use. So as a Cavalier, you're going to get challenged, which means as a swift action, you can challenge an enemy and your melee attacks are going to deal additional damage whenever they're made against that challenged enemy. Also, when you challenge a foe, it's going to cause him to take a -2 penalty to his armor class, but the challenge does remain in effect until the target is dead or unconscious. Now, you're also going to get Cavalier's Charge, which means you get a +4 bonus on melee attack rolls on a charge while mounted instead of just the usual +2. You also do not take a penalty to AC when you charge. And you're also going to have a banner, which means that all allies who can see you receive a +2 morale bonus on saving throws against fear and a +1 morale bonus on attack rolls when made as part of a charge. Now, I would say this isn't all that useful if you're playing like me and you have heroism or greater heroism or heroic invocation on all your party members at pretty much all times. But if for whatever reason you're running a party that doesn't have that, this can definitely give you a nice boost. Now, you're also going to get Tactician, which means as a standard action, Ciar can grant all of his teamwork feats to allies within 30 feet who can see and hear him. And allies retain the use of the bonus feat for 3 rounds plus 1 round for every 2 levels the Cavalier possesses. And then at level 9, it's going to become Greater Tactician, which allows him to choose an additional teamwork feat, and he can activate Tactician as a swift action. Very cool. And you can see he's already selected Coordinated Defense, which is going to give you a bonus to your combat maneuver defense, and he selected Outflank, which of course you all know I'm very high on, so I definitely think this is a good choice. Next up, he's going to get Mighty Charge, which allows the Cavalier to learn to make devastating charge attacks while mounted. Double the threat range of any weapons wielded during a charge while mounted. This increase does not stack with other effects that increase the threat range. However, the Cavalier can make a free bull rush and trip combat maneuver if his charge attack is successful. And these combat maneuvers do not provoke an attack of opportunity. Very, very powerful stuff. He also gets Demanding Challenge at level 12. As long as the challenge target is within the threatened area of the Cavalier, it takes a -2 penalty to its AC from attacks made by anyone other than the Cavalier. And he gets Greater Banner. All allies within 60 feet receive a +2 morale bonus on saving throws against charm and compulsion spells and effects. We have already, as part of our bonus feat, picked up Spirited Charge. When mounted and using the charge action, you deal double damage with melee weapons. And all the way at level 20, you're going to get Supreme Charge. Whenever the Cavalier makes a charge attack while mounted, he deals double the normal amount of damage, or triple if using a lance. In addition, if the Cavalier confirms a critical hit on a charge attack while mounted, the target is stunned for 1d4 rounds, or if they are able to make a save, they are just staggered for 1d4 rounds. So obviously, when you're playing this class, you want to be charging as often as possible. Now, you'll probably notice that there aren't any weapons that are specifically labeled a lance. I've read before that the short spear is considered to be a lance, and that it will trigger the triple damage that is listed here. But I haven't actually tested that for myself. I use Radiance on Ciar throughout my playthrough, so I never switched up from that weapon. So if anybody can confirm that you can use a short spear and basically get the same effect, let me know. I would definitely like to be able to do that when I finally play through this class. Now, of course, you're going to get an animal companion. A horse has already been chosen for you. And then you get a bunch of different proficiencies. So you got heavy armor proficiency, shield proficiency, simple and martial weapons, and I think, no, he doesn't have tower shield, but he does have regular shield proficiency. And then all Cavaliers are able to choose an order that they align with. So in Ciar's case, he is with the Order of the Lion, which means that he gets a +1 dodge bonus to his AC against attacks made by the target of his challenge. And this bonus is going to increase by +1 for every 4 levels he possesses. Also, he gets the Knowledge World skill. That's not particularly useful to you. And he gets Lion's Call. As a standard action, he can give an encouraging speech that is going to provide a competence bonus on saving throws against fear equal to his charisma modifier, and a +1 competence bonus on attack rolls for a number of rounds equal to his Cavalier level. In addition, when an ally under effect should make a saving throw against being frightened or panicked, he may make 2 saving throws to avoid the effect. So obviously this can be very, very useful for you if you're trying to deal with fear. And competence bonus is definitely more rare than the other types, so more than likely this +1 on attack rolls will stack with your other bonuses to attack, making it a nice little buff for you. And then there's For the King. A Cavalier can call out to his allies and as a swift action grant them a competence bonus equal to his charisma modifier on all attack and damage rolls to all allies within 30 feet. This is absolutely a monster ability. His charisma can get very, very high depending upon how you build him. So obviously you want to strip off the defenses of a particular enemy first, but once you do, you can throw this on. It's only going to last for 1 round. Before that 1 round, your allies are going to be able to go absolutely crazy. And then finally, we have Shield of the Liege. An Order of the Lion Cavalier can protect those around him. Allies that are adjacent to him receive a +3 shield bonus to their AC. So as you can see, some nice defensive things, some nice offensive things, just really all around a nice, cool class. And you get Ciar at level 11. So there's enough time for you to have a little bit of flexibility as far as how he continues to get built up. So let's go ahead and look at the feats that they've taken. First of all, he does start, I believe his deity is I Am a Day, and then he has the Guard proficiency, which means he gets Perception as one of his class skills. He's taken Weapon Focus Longsword, and he's taken Heavy Armor Focus, which is going to give him AC +1. Weapon Focus is obviously very good. Heavy Armor, I definitely wouldn't take it, but it's not the end of the world. He's also taken Mounted Combat, which means that once per round when your mount is hit in combat, you can attempt a mobility check to negate the hit. The hit is negated if your mobility check result is greater than the opponent's attack roll. Very good stuff. You absolutely want to make sure that you're keeping your horse alive. This is going to help you do that. He also has taken Trample. If the trample you attempt is successful, your mount deals damage to the target knocked prone by the trample as if it was hit with 1 natural attack. I'll be honest, I almost never use Trample, but that doesn't mean it's not good. If you're too far away to do a full attack, but too close in order to be able to charge, doing a trample probably makes a lot of sense. So it's not something I used on a regular basis, but I'm not mad at all that he took trample here. I don't use it because a lot of times I'm playing with real time with pause, and even if I do go to turn-based, a lot of times I'm focusing on the Lich and trying to just wipe out the entire group, and so trying to be more careful about what I was doing with Ciar just wasn't really necessary. But playing on harder difficulties, you might definitely want to use this more. Power attack is definitely a good choice. Dodge, I wouldn't take dodge here. He doesn't really have enough feats to go down the whole crane route of feats, and this +1 bonus, I think there are probably some better places that this feat could be used, but it's not the end of the world. So as you can see, great class, pretty solid list of feats that have been taken as well. So you're going to be in a pretty good position once you get him. let's go ahead and dive into the overall build. So as far as skills, he has athletics, mobility, and persuasion. I think this all absolutely makes sense. He's going to be building up his strength, so it makes sense for him to have athletics. You definitely want a high mobility because that's going to tie into protecting your horse and being better at mounted combat. And then we definitely want to have high persuasion because he's going to be one of 2 undead party members that are focused on scaring and shaking all of the enemies that are around us, and he does an absolutely fantastic job of that. Okay, for your level 11 feat, they tell you to take Boon Companion, but I don't know why they even have a thumbs down on that. So I'm not sure why they did that. Instead, we're going to go Improve Critical, and then Longsword. At level 12, increase strength and continue to increase strength during all of your level ups. I forgot to mention, every other level you're going to have 4 skill points instead of just 3. So we've already increased 3 we would usually use. For that last point, I'd probably put it in Perception. Remember, you don't need to have it in Lower Nature because he's undead, so he doesn't get tired. So you don't have to find a way to manage that. Knowledge World is completely useless for him. There's almost certainly someone on the team, probably your Lich, who has a much higher score in that. So yeah, I'd go ahead and just put it in Perception. Even though he's not really going to get his perception high enough that it really matters, it still just makes the most sense to me. And then for your level 12 feat, I go with Critical Focus. For your level 13 feat, I get Corner and Smash. For your level 15 feat, I get Intimidating Prowess. For your level 17 feat, I get Dazzling Display. And then for your Tactician bonus feat, I get Shake It Off. So this is going to give you a +1 bonus on saving throws per ally that is adjacent to you, maximum +4. So there's a lot of melee people that serve as party members for your undead team, not to mention the Lich can summon skeletons who might also be allies that are right around you. So when you hit Tactician and you have this, you're going to give a really nice defensive boost to the entire team. At level 18, I take Dreadful Carnage, and then at level 19, I would get Shattered Defenses. So we've already taken Intimidating Prowess, which is going to take our strength modifier and add it to our attempts to intimidate. And then we have Dreadful Carnage, which ensures that every time we kill an enemy, we're going to attempt to shake and intimidate the entire room. We took Dazzling Display so that we could also open up Shattered Defenses, which means any shaken, frightened, or panicked opponent is going to be flat-footed against our attacks, which means that their dexterity is not going to count against our ability in order to be able to hit them. So all of this means that Ciar is going to be able to run around shaking and intimidating enemies. I don't know why this thing is not closing. Shaking and intimidating enemies and generally causing havoc for your enemies. Very good stuff. Okay, for whatever reason, this window won't close, so I just have to sit over there. Now that we finished the character levels, let's go through the mythic options. At mythic level 1, go ahead and choose Mythical Beast. Also, quick note, remember you're probably going to get Ciar right around the end of Act 3. So you should be at least around level 12, level 13, somewhere in that nature. And you're going to have 4 mythic options you could choose right off the bat. At mythic level 2, I go straight for Improved Critical, Longsword. Again, once you are able to start making these decisions, you'll already have had the opportunity to pick Improved Critical. So you don't need to go through the regular list of mythic options that you usually would if you were starting from the very beginning. Mythic level 3, get Last Stand. At Mythic level 4, go into Extra Mythic Ability, Mythic Charge. Mythic level 5, Thundering Blows. Mythic level 6, Flawless Attacks. Mythic level 7, Leading Strike. Mythic level 8, Power Attack Mythic. Mythic level 9, Unrelenting Assault. And then for your very last mythic option, I'd probably go ahead and choose Destructive Shockwave. Since Ciar had so many points devoted to his charisma, I feel like it takes a long time for his strength to get high enough that Destructive Shockwave actually matters. And so that's why I took it so much later than we usually would for someone in melee combat. Okay, so now that we're finished building up Ciar, let's go ahead and take a look at his horse. Now, you might be thinking you should just go for Death Touch, but honestly, I don't do that. If you do that, it will allow your horse to be healed by negative energy, but it's not going to get all the immunities that come with being undead. It just gets a +4 morale bonus on fortitude saves against effects that usually wouldn't impact the undead. So the Lich has a power where he can take a living creature and make it undead for a period of time, and it's a long period of time. I think it's like 10 minutes per level. I think that's far more effective to just go ahead and put on your horse and let it be a living creature than to try to give it Death Touch. I don't think that buys the horse much. Now, because you are dealing with a horse who's going to focus on strength, you're probably going to want to give it barding. And it might be tempting to go with Bulwark because it is going to give you 2 barding feats as part of the level up. Again, me personally, I'm not a fan of this because I think the pets give way more feats than they actually need to use. By the time you get around level, I think 14, you've pretty much got all the feats that it really needs, and then you've got a few more feats that you can play around with and do whatever you want. So I don't think trying to save these 2 feats really buys you anything. So me personally, I prefer to just go ahead and get Aggressor. You're automatically going to get Power Attack right from the start, and you're going to be able to apply a bleeding effect onto enemies that is also going to give you a +1 bonus on attack and damage rolls against the bleeding target. I think this is by far the most effective class for the horse and probably most of the pets that you're trying to run. Let's go ahead and dive into it. For skills, I definitely think all pets should have perception, and then whether your athletics or mobility depends upon whether you're building up strength or dexterity. In this case, we're building up strength. And for your level 1 feat, I will go with light barding. Again, we definitely want to have barding on the horse. For your level 3 feat, go ahead and take weapon focus, bite. And then at level 4, for your ability point, go ahead and increase intelligence. For just about all pets, you want to go ahead and give them that extra point in intelligence to get this up to 3. There's a big difference between the feats that are available when you have an intelligence level of 2 as opposed to an intelligence level of 3. For the rest of the ability points, go ahead and dump them into strength. At level 5, get medium barding. At level 7, get outflank. At level 9, get heavy barding. At level 11, get improved critical, bite. At level 13, get critical focus. Okay, so now here at level 15, you've got 3 feats left to use. And I would say you've taken just about all the feats that are really critical to this build. You could go ahead and take improved initiative, but I'm not really all that big on it for a pet. You could also take sickening critical or wait a little bit and take staggering critical, but all of my other party members, when I'm running an undead party, are built around criticals and doing critical effects. So I don't see it as particularly necessary to really have the horse doing this as well. Either Delamere or somebody else is probably also doing sickening or staggering anyway. So I like to use this opportunity to try to go through a full line of feats. Now, you've got a couple of different options about what you could do. You have Cleave here, and you could try to go through the Cleave list of feats, but you need 4 feats in order to fill it all out and get improved cleaving finish. And that's clearly not possible here. Therefore, I don't see it as all that worthwhile for the horse. You also could go through the Vital Strike line of feats, but I feel like Vital Strike really shines when you're able to choose the Mythic option for it. Since you cannot choose Mythic options for the horse, I don't think it's all that worthwhile. So therefore, I like going through the Blind Fight list of feats. It's blind, improved, and greater. You can get all of them, and it does actually help the horse to be able to fight through concealment. So that is what makes sense for me, but honestly, for these last 3 feats, you can do pretty much whatever you want and whatever you think really fits your particular build. So at level 17, we go Improved Blind Fight, and then at level 19, we go with Greater Blind Fight. So with Blind Fight, it's going to allow you to re-roll your attack if you miss a character specifically due to concealment. Also, an invisible attacker gets no advantage related to hitting you in melee, meaning you do not lose your dexterity bonus to AC, and the attacker doesn't get the usual +2 bonus for being invisible. With improved blind fight, your melee attacks flat out ignore the mischance for less than total concealment, along with everything that blind fight gives you. And then finally, with greater blind fight, you not only ignore the mischance for less than total concealment, you treat opponents with total concealment as if they had normal concealment, 20% mischance instead of 50%. Very, very nice all the way around. Okay, so now that we're finished building up Ciar and his horse, let's go ahead and take a look at the items. For boots, I have, they add their rank and athletic skill as a bonus to the damage roll on a successful charge attack. Obviously, that's very nice for him. I never found really good gloves for him. I feel like I searched thoroughly, but I might have missed something. For the belt, it gives him a +6 enhancement bonus to strength, and it also magnifies his momentum, granting a +2 bonus on the bull rush and overrun maneuvers. And whenever he charges an enemy, the enemy suffers a -2 penalty AC against ranged attacks for 4 rounds. His shirt is on the brink of death, so if he goes below 50 health, each attack against the wearer has a chance to reflect dealt damage. The enemy has to pass a reflex saving throw. The DC is very low, but I just threw it on him. Gave him some nice heavy plate armor. It's +3 mithril plate and grants an additional spell resistance 23, which is probably overshadowed by the boost, the buffs for spell resistance that I usually use. But in case he doesn't have that buff, this would be nice for him. Gave him a +6 amulet of natural armor. For the shield, he has the undying love of the Hopebringer. I prefer to use the dark aura, which all enemies in the 30-foot area have a -2 penalty to initiative. All companions gain a +2 profane bonus to attack of opportunities and critical hit confirmation. Whenever a companion lands a critical hit against the enemy must pass a will saving throw DC 25 or be under the sleeping effect for 1d3 rounds. All cures, poisons, diseases, and mind-affecting spells have their save DC increased by 2, both for enemies and companions. The vast majority of these do not affect the undead, so the DC being increased only helps me. It doesn't really damage me very much. And then, of course, we have the +6 Radiance. Obviously very good. This is the evil version of it. So it is a Bane Living Avenger. A Bane weapon excels against certain foes, so against living creatures, it gets a enhancement bonus. It is +2 better than its actual bonus. It also deals an extra 2d6 points of damage against such foes. Very, very nice stuff. For the bracers, if he gets a critical hit, the enemy has to pass a DC 23 or become vulnerable to piercing damage. It's all right. We've got all-around defense, so I think there's another character who has that ring, and by having it together, they get a +2 bonus to AC. Could have potentially taken back-to-back as a feat, so that I think it would raise this by an additional +2 to give me a +4 to AC overall, but I just didn't go that route. Ring of Protection +4. I probably have a Ring of Protection +5 somewhere around here. Got a Cloak of Resistance +5. The goggles give him a +1 insight bonus on attack and damage rolls against outsiders, and it also gives him a +10 competence bonus on persuasion skill checks. So once again, very, very skilled at being able to intimidate foes. And then I gave him a helmet that increases charisma by +6. So all in all, very nice. And then for the horse, he isn't able to put any boots on, of course. For the knee pads, he gets an additional 2d6 holy damage on hit on attacks with natural weapons. From a role-playing standpoint, this doesn't fit at all, but I just didn't find good evil knee pads, so I stuck with this. And then for the belt, he's got a Clutch of Corruption, +4 enhancement bonus to strength, and a +8 enhancement bonus to constitution ability scores. And whenever he confirms a critical hit, the enemy has to pass a DC 28 or become vulnerable to negative energy and unholy damage. Very nice. For his barding, it gives him a +5 armor bonus, and he does a 10d6 additional bludgeoning damage on a successful charge. It also makes him immune to stunned and staggered conditions. He's got a +5 amulet for enhancements on attack and damage rolls with natural weapons. For his helmet, whenever the wearer of this helmet lands a hit with a melee weapon, the target has to pass a DC 25 or suffer bleed damage that equals the wearer's strength modifier for 1d4 rounds. This bleed damage doesn't stack with itself, but stacks with bleed effects from other sources. And of course, you'll remember our class provides a bleed effect as well. He has a +6 cloak of resistance, and I don't have particularly good braces for him. So that is the item setup. Remember, Ciar doesn't have any spells, so don't have to worry about anything in his spell book. Okay, so now we're in a combat situation. Make this a little bit more interesting, I did bump it up to core. Let's see what happens. It will let me charge to him. And let's see what happened. So we charged up, hit with a critical hit that did 151 damage. He looks like his first saving throw succeeded, but then the will saving throw failed because of dark aura, and now he's laying on the floor. Okay, my turn again. Looks like this guy finally bled out. Let's see if we can charge him. We can charge this guy again, and in fact, to make it a little bit more interesting, let's go ahead and challenge him as a swift action. All right, and then we'll go ahead and charge. Excellent. So, started with Nightmare, did a bite, and that dealt 89 damage. 42 saving throw failed. Nightmare dealt an additional 66 damage, and the Rock Vortery died. Not a big deal at all. So, as you can see, I think it's pretty well apparent. Oh, I'm sorry. Those floating skulls are from a Lich power that completely heals all of his undead allies. That's not part of Ciar's build, but if you use that power often, you'll see this effect all the time. But anyway, I think you can see that this is very effective. Ciar is a great addition to your party, and I think for those of you who play through Lich, you're going to have a lot of fun with him. I'm looking forward to hearing your feedback. Let me know down in the comment section if there's anything you would change about this build, anything you felt like I could have done differently. If you enjoyed this video, please leave me a like down below, share this content, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I will see you all in the next video. Take care.